Welcome to the Headquarters Individual Reservist Readiness Integration Organization Assumption of Command Ceremony. For the shorter event, we'll note them as Headquarters RIO. Also, throughout the ceremony, you will be given clues to stand and be seated at the appropriate times. As a reminder, military members should remain at attention during the playing of musical honors and singing of the national anthem. During the national anthem, our civilian guests should place their right hand over their heart. Today, the men and women of Headquarters RIO pay special tribute to Colonel Carolyn Stickell as she assumes command. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Brigadier General Samuel C. Mahaney, Commander, Headquarters Air Reserve Personnel Center. On behalf of General Mahaney, we would like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished and special guests with us today, Colonel Stickell's parents, Dean and Robbie Stickell. Welcome to Buckley Air Force Base. We also like to take the time to welcome General Mahaney's wife, Chris, as well as our headquarters leadership. To our distinguished guests from the 460th Space Wing, colleagues, friends, and co-workers who have come to pay special tribute to Colonel Stickell, welcome and thank you for attending. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of musical honors, the singing of the national anthem by Staff Sergeant Juliana Figueroa, today's invocation by Chaplain Abner Valenzuela, and award presentation.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch, we're so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in prayer. Gracious and eternal God, we look to you with grateful hearts for the blessing of this day and for the way that you have gathered us together in this place. We lift up Colonel Stickell today as she assumes the responsibility and burden of command. Lord, we thank you for her life and for her leadership. We believe that you have ordered her steps and brought her to this moment in her career and prepared her for the challenges ahead. So we pray that you give her courage and wisdom to accomplish the work you have called her to do. For the men and women of Headquarters RIO and ARPC, be with each one of them in the important work they do each day. We lift them up and bless their lives in every possible way. Lord, continue to bless our base, our leaders, our team members, and their families, as together we strive to be the best that we can be for each other and for our nation. We pray that you give us a wonderful time today, for we ask all these things in your holy name. Amen. Amen.
Attention to orders. Citation accompany award of the Meritorious Service Medal, 5th Oak Leaf Cluster to Colonel Carolyn A. Stickell for meritorious service, 30 August 2013 to 23 June 2015. Colonel Carolyn A. Stickell distinguished herself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as the Individual Mobilization Augmentee to the Vice Commander, Headquarters Air Reserve Personnel Center, Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado. During this period, Colonel Stickell tackled several complex issues and ran the unit with the absence of both the command and the vice commander without fail. In this endeavor, she obtained and filled 14 new Individual Mobilization Augmentee positions and doubled the unit's reserve personnel appropriation support to a tune of $5.6 million. Colonel Stickell's organization skills and ability to obtain more manpower was crucial to the unit slashing its personnel backlogs and implementing the transfer of over 100 human capital management processes from Headquarters Air Force Reserve to Headquarters Air Reserve Personnel Center. In addition, Colonel Stickell resurrected the unit's ability to activate both the pre-trained individual manpower and the individual ready reserve in case of a national emergency by exercising the entire process for the first time in over a decade. Her meticulous nature also led to the review of 924,000 orders, which unearthed reduced retirement credit to 65,000 airmen. Finally, Colonel Stickell was at the center of making the unit's strategic plan a benchmark for the Air Force Reserve by analyzing and building mission-focused matrix with a sustained executable battle rhythm. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Stickell reflect great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force. Thank you, Chaplain Valenzuela and Staff Sergeant Figueroa. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The assumption of command is a military formation deeply rooted in history and tradition dating back to the time of Frederick the Great of Prussia. In that period, military organizations developed flags with unique and specialized colors and designs. When soldiers followed their leaders into battle, they kept sight of their flag. If the banner still waved after the conflict, it was a sign of victory. Having this position of great importance, the flag was incorporated into ancient assumption of command ceremonies. The organizational banner was exchanged in public for all to see that the holder of the flag is unchallenged in the sovereign leaders of the armies. The modern day ceremony is principally symbolic, yet it still announces to all the authority of the incoming commanders in the finest military traditions. During today's ceremony, General Mahaney will officiate as Colonel Stickell assumes command, making her the second commander of Headquarters RIO. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great pleasure to introduce Brigadier General Samuel C. Mahaney.
It's great to have everybody here for this assumption of command. I want to say thanks to the family and friends for being here. It's very important. And it really wouldn't feel right if we didn't have family and friends here. So thank you all for being here today. Colonel Bush, Colonel Jordan, GK, thank you for being here and bringing Team Buckley together. We really appreciate that. ARPC leadership, thank you so much for being here and supporting one of your fellow leaders as she comes on board. And to everybody out there in RIO detachment land, welcome. You know, before I talk about Carolyn Stickell, I want to talk a little bit about Colonel Chris Cronce. Chris did a lot to bring this organization from zero to full blast in right around 2 years. And he did that by building coalition and teamwork with the RMG. In other words, hey RMG, we're taking all your toys and we're bringing them to ARPC. And he was able to do that working with the RMG to bring that here with very little, if any, friction. The only friction that was there wasn't personality. It was just the fact of having to move all of those processes from the RMG to here. And he did a great job in that. There's no question that Chris is one of the superstars in the personnel world and one of the superstars in AFRC and in the Air Force, and we're going to see a lot more from him. Not only in the job that he's doing right now at REPP, but beyond that, because he's got a lot of longevity, a lot of time left, and he's going to serve this Air Force very well. So we look forward to that from him. In addition to standing up Headquarters RIO, Chris went to one more step. He brought all the detachment commanders right here to Buckley Air Force Base, and they did an offsite at an undisclosed location here on the base. And they put together a strategic plan based on their combined strategic vision. And they spent 3 days doing that, hashing that out to make sure that they knew what their goals and objectives were. So they had a map, a guiding light with which to take them into the future. And that's about right. That's about the right time for the first commander of Headquarters RIO now to depart. Because he set the stage, and it's time for him to hand it over to another commander. So we put the application out there, the announcement for applications, and we got 28 applications for this particular position. 28 high quality applications. It was really hard to figure out exactly who are we going to interview. And from those 28 superior apps, we picked 10, the best of the best, the cream of the crop, to interview. And we spent a good part of two days interviewing those folks one-on-one. We made sure to have a level playing field because not everybody could show up and talk to us in person. All of those interviews then were over the phone because we wanted to make sure we were fair to every single applicant who applied for the job. As a result, as I was myself and the panel were talking to one of our applicants, it occurred to me that she was in the room next door. So, Carolyn Stickell was one of those applicants, one of those interviewees. And as we went through then those 10 packages and did the scoring and the rack and stack, again, it was very, very competitive. And it was a tough choice to come up with that person who would take RIO into the next step. But we looked at the packages, and one of the things we were looking at was that strategic vision, and then how to get from where we are right now to those goals and objectives. And Colonel Stickell had that vision. And so we selected her. I selected her for this position. As RIO goes forward, the way I see it, you're moving into the next phase. I call that the execution phase. The execution phase of a strategy. You know, we can go through all the talk and all the work and create a strategy and then put that document on a shelf, and it sits there for the next 2 to 5 years until somebody says, oh, what's this? Oh, I guess we better do a new one of these. Let's change some happies to glads and ifs to ands and to buts and that kind of thing, and put a new date on it, give it to the new commander, sign it, and then we'll put it back over here for a while. Well, that's not the way our ARPC does it. We live by our strategic document, and that's the way RIO does it. But when you live by a strategic document, you have to come up with an execution plan to get from where you are to that strategic vision. So, members of Headquarters RIO, members of the detachments, the next couple of years, as you start down that road of adhering to a strategic plan and executing that plan, There's 4 things that you got to think about. The first one is agility. The first piece to execution is agility. And already everybody that's here from RIO knows how agile you've had to be, how flexible you've had to be to accomplish the mission. And as you go to those strategic objectives in the future, you've got to be able to tackle those problems that come up and find solutions to those. Find resources, find manpower, find what it takes to do the job, and don't take no for an answer. And certainly don't assume no is the answer. You've got to ask the question to get the resources to be agile. I know that Carolyn is capable of doing this because a lot of the RPA help that you see in this building right now is a result of her work. The next thing is relationships. RIO sits in the middle between ARPC and our detachments and our individual augmentees and participating individual ready reservists. RIO's in the middle, so the relationships have to be there with the detachments, and it has to be there with ARPC and higher headquarters. I know that you all can do that. I know that Colonel Stickell will lead you in that way. Performance is the next piece of an execution plan. Without actual performance and progress towards your goals and objectives, the rest of the execution plan just falls on its face. And we're good in the Air Force at making metrics, tracking performance, and those types of things. I know that you all are prepared for that. The last piece in a good execution plan is continuity. Because what happens is we lose a lot of our effectiveness when somebody comes in and replaces somebody else and says, what's going on here? How do I do my job? How does this happen? How does that happen? There's a lot of wasted energy. Not just in the initial time, but it takes 6 months sometimes for people to get spun up. We've got to make sure we've got that continuity to give the handoff to the next person or that person on your team when you go up to visit Yellowstone National Park for a week or 2. And they're sitting there going, I wonder what so-and-so would have done in this situation. Continuity, very important. So I know that you all are ready to execute. I know that Colonel Stickell is ready to lead you into that next phase. You've done your build-up. You've established your strategy. You've got to move to the next phase now, and that is flawless execution. We joke about it. It's been joked about. What does IMA mean? Not I am alone. A very high-ranking IMA in the room just said, I am accountable. That's much closer to the mark. And what RIO has to do in this next phase, in this execution phase, is help those IMAs to that level so that they can focus on the mission that those that they are augmenting, those that they are serving, requires them to do, and not spending all their time trying to take care of personnel or family needs. It all comes down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And an individual is going to do what they have to do to take care of themselves and their family first. Then they're going to get to the mission. That's what RIO's job is. That bottom part of Maslow's needs, the second layer up from just getting food, water, and shelter, is taking care of your family and yourself. That's what RIO does. So with that, Colonel Stickell, I know that you'll do a great job, so let's get on with that piece of it and publish the order.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Assumption of Command ceremony. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Headquarters, Air Force Reserve Command, Special Order Number Alpha Alpha 0332. By direction of the President, Colonel Carolyn A. Stickell is appointed Commander, Headquarters Individual Reservist Readiness and Integration Organization, Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado, effective 16 June 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great pleasure to introduce the Commander, Headquarters Individual Reservist Readiness and Integration Organization, Colonel Carolyn Stickell.
General Mahaney, Mrs. Mahaney, thank you so much for being here. Colonel Jordan, Chief K from the 460th, thank you. Chief Flores, Mr. Fong, all the directors, thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot, and I look forward to working with all of you over the next couple of years. General Mahaney, I just can't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity. Without your support, I certainly would not be standing here today. And I certainly hope to live up to all those expectations you just shared with everyone. I'll do my best. Thank you to Chaplain Valenzuela, who I think already snuck out, and Sergeant Figueroa for her amazing rendition of the national anthem. Erlene, Cindy, Shirt, and LaShawn, you guys have been amazing. I mean, I just can't thank you enough. Along with the army of other people, you should have seen them tearing down tables and setting up chairs and doing everything this morning, everything that it takes to pull off a ceremony like this today. So if you wouldn't mind just joining me in a round of applause for that. It was really amazing. I've never had this happen before where stuff just happens and I show up and grab my piece of paper and give my speech. So, wow, that was pretty amazing. But to the leadership of the 460th, thanks so much for the support that you provide us week in and week out, and I really appreciate that and look forward to a continued relationship with you guys and that continued support. You really support us in an amazing way, so thank you. Thanks to the 7 nets out there who are tuned in and you've taken time to watch my assumption of command. I can't wait to work with all of you. You're amazing professionals, and I just can't wait to take RIO to the next step of its evolution using all of your great ideas. And thanks to Colonel Cronce for getting this organization up and running, because I don't know how he did it. His efforts were absolutely amazing to watch, and I would always comment to him that I didn't know how he did it. Little did I know I would get to find out. To my friends and coworkers, thank you. Your support is so appreciated, and I'm just amazed at the number of people who have shown up here today. But and my parents, holy cow, I think they spent $200 per word just to hear me say, "Sir, I assume command." I certainly wouldn't be standing here today without them. My mom is one of the most amazing people that I know. Her support is always there, and it's always unwavering. So when I was born, I definitely hit the parent jackpot. Because my dad was also in the Air Force, I'd like to start off by doing something a little unorthodox. So this is probably something you haven't seen before. Don't be nervous, Dad, I'll talk you through it. So my entire family has been a tremendous source of support and encouragement to me, along with many other friends and bosses and coworkers. But ever since my dad had the opportunity to serve as the wing commander at Masawa, he has said over and over how much he would like for one of his daughters or for his daughters to have that experience. I can't believe I'm standing here today and I'm going to have that experience. Ironically, my dad was the second wing commander at Masawa, and I'm the second wing commander of RIO. Even more ironically, I Googled the date my dad took command last night as I was laying in bed. My dad took command on the 16th of June, 1986, and my orders began on the 16th of June, 2015. An amazing coincidence. So, Dad, can you come up here for a second, please? Okay. So the reason I brought my dad up here is so I can make up for an opportunity I missed when I got promoted. You know what I'm talking about, yes. I think it's even cooler that I get this second chance. My dad administered the oath to me during my promotion ceremony a couple years ago, and after the oath, I was really looking forward to saluting him and then giving him a big old hug. Well, as you can kind of see, my dad and I are pretty close, and I was just focused on not getting emotional during the oath. So I made it through, and I was so proud of myself that I forgot to give my dad the salute, but I did give him the big old hug. So, since I have this great opportunity today, I feel really lucky to have a second chance. And I would like to salute my dad because I have so much respect for him and the example that he has set for me. So Dad, I salute you. Whew, okay, at least now I'm batting 500 on the emotional salutes to my dad. And if you don't like my leadership style going forward, you can blame him. All right. Now, back to the task at hand. Yes, okay. I'm a big fan of Southwest Airlines. How's that for a change of pace? I've always admired Herb Kelleher's vision and leadership style. And I would like RIO to be the Southwest Airlines of the reserve world. Not in the same that it's cheap and no frills. But in the sense that everybody likes being a part of that organization. They like being there, and customer service is their #1 priority. So, you never know when a flight attendant is going to break into song, or crack a joke, or do something that makes your flight more memorable. The employees are empowered to make a difference for their customers. So it may not happen on every flight, but whenever I fly Southwest, I find myself wondering what the next smile moment might be. Herb Kelleher turned the airline industry on its head and developed a highly profitable airline in a highly unprofitable industry. He said no to having more than one type of aircraft. He chose the 737 and stuck with it, which minimized maintenance costs. It brought pilots and flight attendants home at night, so it minimized hotel and food costs for the employees. They didn't serve meals, and they wouldn't even give you a seat in advance. So, this was kind of a whole new concept, but even today, Southwest has some of the most competitive turn times in the industry, and they can continue to be very profitable, despite their somewhat unorthodox approach to starting an airline. So what can RIO do to become more like Southwest Airlines? We need to determine what's most important and then say no to everything else. We have to figure out how to efficiently maintain a support system for our IRs and how to do it with a lot fewer people. We have to think outside the box instead of conforming to these age-old military paradigms. Like General Mahaney said, the world is changing and we have to change with it. So we've got to be lean and agile and responsive and really good at what we do. Do I have all the answers? No way. But I know that the people in RIO do. And I know that our detachment folks do. And I'm going to empower you guys to help us make the changes we need to make going forward as we start to execute the next phase of RIO's evolution. Do we want to improve the system, or as General Mahaney would say, are you just going to sit there and admire the problem? I think we can improve the system. As Herb Kelleher would say, what can we go big on? RIO exists because of individual reservists and the active duty units they work in. Those folks are our customers. We're here to help them, and I'd like everyone within RIO to feel empowered to make their days better. We have lost almost half of our IMA force over the past 10 years because we haven't been able to put faces in our empty spaces. So that's one of the first things I would like to address as your next commander. Then we need to make it easier for IMAs to be assigned to those vacancies. And once we solve that problem, we have to take care of the faces in the spaces. And there are a lot of tentacles to that one. How do we make it easier for individual reservists to get orders, or get their PHA, or their dental, or their fitness? How do we make it easier so they're ready to go when we actually have to mobilize them when the flag goes up? How can you make a positive difference in somebody's day? What can we do to make an IMA's life better? And how can we keep them wondering where that next smile moment is going to come from? These are the challenges I set forth to you today. I'm honored to be your next commander, and I'm excited to hear your ideas and your proposed solutions. I look forward to working with you, ARPC, the 460th, and all our other mission partners to make RIO the Southwest Airlines of the reserve world. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, even though you're already standing, but please stand for the departure of Brigadier General Mahaney and his wife, Chris. This concludes our ceremony. Please form a line to my right, your left, letting the first row proceed first to congratulate Colonel Stickell and her parents, then proceed to the foyer for some refreshments. Thank you.